jumping into the new paradigm with great lofts. That last piece, my soul is just spinning. And what I've learned in the years of my spiritual search, if you're going to be leaping and spinning and turning, it's all about the shoes. Any woman knows it's all about the shoes. It's always all about the shoes. And spiritual life can be seen through the prism of your shoes. For a long time in my life, I attempted to flourish in this new paradigm. I admit, I have been on that cutting edge for the last years. It's been a while, folks. I left home at 17, went as far away as I could get from my parents, to another country, on the other side of the ocean. Came back, lived in various countries all over Latin America, and then settled in Taos, New Mexico, as far as you could get from New Jersey, and looked for families of choice, right? I mean, I had parents, but I didn't need my parents. They got a phone call every week. But that's about it, you know. And then I had my real family, my spiritual family. It took shoes to really teach me the lesson about honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earth. And another way to say long upon the earth is that thy days may be filled with happiness. All of us, at some point, have had parents. And this is at the core of the 10 Commandments. First, deal with your parents. So my mother became a widow, and I still went to visit dutifully in Florida twice a year. But finally, it became clear that I needed to bring her out here to Los Angeles so that I could take care of her. And she spent 5 years here, and those 5 years, I got to understand what this means to honor a parent, even if they're not the parents that you think they should be. It's all about the shoes. My mother loved shoes. And so last summer, and this is now a year ago, last summer, it was 112 degrees in Encino. As I walked into the home where she was now staying, into the Jewish home for the aging, my mother pulls out an ad that says, SAS shoe sale. I need new shoes for the high holidays. Now let me point out, my mother had just been in intensive care for 10 days. It was very clear this woman would never walk again. She would never even get out of that wheelchair. I put her in the car. We went to SAS. They were $150. These are the shoes, right here. Comfy, padded, and as you can see, pretty much unworn. My mother never left her bed. She never got to attend even one high holiday event at the home. She died on December 12th. I spent 5 fantastic years with my mother, learning to honor the elegant, strong woman that she was. I looked around her room, and wow, did she have clothes. And did she have shoes? And I gathered up what I could in her room at the home and gave it away. But not so fast. There was a storage locker. And the storage locker, of course, had all the really precious things. The dress she'd worn to my nephew's wedding. The dress that she wore when my children were born. The dress that she wore at her own bat mitzvah at 83. I couldn't deal. It took till last May to put it together. Finally, I put it all into the car and took it off to her place of choice, Council for Jewish Women. They do good things in the world, she told me. And I dragged all the clothes in, and there were the shoes. They were in a box, unworn. She never wore them. It was really painful to separate from the clothes. Everyone was a memory, everyone was a smell. I left them at the counter weeping and said, I hope these make a wedding for somebody's mother. Got back in the car, cried all the way home. Put the shoes in the box above my bed, and proceeded to go off on my vacation to Italy and to Israel, where I study. I had sturdy shoes, I did, and as my yoga teacher knows, I had already killed one knee, right? I never wore the sturdy shoes. There were those cute sandals in Italy, and then there were little strappy heels, and then it's all about the shoes. Of course, I blew out the other knee. Seriously blew out the other knee. It was another torn meniscus, yes. And I walked all over Israel, basically limping. One bad knee and one really terrible knee. I got home and knew in my job I stand up a great deal. I turned around. How was I going to go to work? I could barely stand up. I looked, and there they were. I thought, you know, I should give these shoes to some old lady. Tamar. She's an old lady in our synagogue. I'll give the shoes to Tamar. Tamar didn't want them. She said, I have plenty of old lady shoes. I don't need your SAS shoes. I thought maybe I'll give the shoes to, I'll go back to the council and give away the shoes. No, it's driving to the valley. I stood in heels the first weekend back. Came back. Looked at the box and realized, I'm the old lady who needs the shoes. These shoes have been waiting for me. I have now grown into my mother's shoes. And then I looked at it and realized what an honor it is to stand in my mother's shoes. And looked at the place that said, you know, my mother had those nurses' shoes. In those days, the nurses wore nurses' shoes that I polished as a child. Those were shoes that went to work when it was hard for women to go out and make a living. There were shoes that stood in rallies so women could vote. There were shoes that protested. My mother worked for Planned Parenthood, what can I tell you? And I think of all the women and all the shoes. And I know that if we are going to leap into the next paradigm, we need to honor our parents, first of all, for all that they have given us. It's the core commandment. We also need to be aware that the shoes that we are filling are giants who have stood before us. My feet feel so small in comparison. And so as we step into the next paradigm, we step into the shoes of those who have come before us. And I can only hope that they're comfortable.